Say yes to new beginnings.
Yes.
Say yes to new standards of excellence.
Yes.
Say yes to engaging reportage with a difference.
Yes.
Introducing Yes International Magazine.
Now, I need to take you back to ghost writing. To do ghost writing, how does one charge for that? Those things? Well, I also do a bit of writing, so I understand some of these things. But I mean, for the benefit of those who are just joining us, or those who might be interested in writing, to do ghost writing, how does one charge for those ones, and how does it work? Just I need you to shed more light on that.
Okay, so ghost writing is okay. So take for instance, you want to write a book and you can't write. You have money, you have all the resources, you have done a lot of things in life, and you think that you need to tell your story, and then you look for someone who can write that book, but you don't want that book to be in the person's voice. You want it to be like you are the person who has written the book, and so you contract me and you say to me that, okay, can you do this for me? So what I do is I just interview you, get your stories from the day you were born, everything you've done, and we take everything down. And so we have your story, and I write that story like you are the one writing.
So how does one charge for ghost writing?
Yeah, so different ways. Some people charge by the number of words that they have written. So for instance, if the book ends up being 50,000 words, for instance, some people would say, I charge 1 naira per word. So they will calculate, the number of words by the number of charge that they charge. By the number of, by how they charge, by what they charge per word. Some people charge by page. So if the book is 500, say 500 pages, it's going to be the cost of 1 page times 500. I charge by hour. The number of hours that I use doing your book is what I'm going to charge you. So, and I start from the time I am interviewing. So if for instance, my interview session with you lasts 42 hours, and I say I charge 10,000 naira per hour, at the end of the interview, I'm going to charge you 10,000 times 42. And then we can now talk about writing the book. So these are the different ways, that people charge when they do.
Okay. What's the highest amount you've collected for ghostwriting, and what's the least amount you've charged for ghostwriting?
The highest I have charged, honestly, I can't put an amount to, and I'll tell you why. Because the most lucrative ghostwriting project that I have done has not stopped paying me. Has not stopped paying me. But conservatively, let's just say 10 million. Conservatively.
Okay.
Yeah, conservatively.
Okay. Now, I need to find out from you, how and why did you dabble into writing, or did you get yourself involved, with writing? What triggered it? What prompted it? Okay. How did it start? What ignited that fire?
Okay, I don't even know. I used to write as a child. When I was young, I read a lot of books. I came from a family where parents didn't allow us to interact too much with other people. So it was just myself, my siblings, and my books, essentially. And that's why today I don't know how to play football. I don't know how to play anything, it's just basically. So when I was young, this was basically what I did. And then as a child then, I was playing around a lot. I would just carry my pen, and, just scribble all sorts of things. I didn't know what I was doing. But then I, finished second. What I wanted to study was law.
Well, you eventually studied law. Yeah, go ahead.
But So what I wanted to study was law, but it didn't work for me. And then I entered the University of Ilorin, and I got into the Performing Arts department in the University of Ilorin. I didn't know what performing arts was. Initially, what I wanted to study was English, but it didn't work. So at the end of the day, I ended up in performing arts. And when I got to performing arts, I realized that, man, I'm not sure this was meant for me, because I was shy. I was a really shy person. And the way performing arts is, you can't really thrive, in that environment if you are not. Because you've got to act, you've got to dance, you've got to the heart of performance. That's what we were taught. I was a very quiet person. So and I wasn't involved in a lot of practical things that my classmates were doing. So what I did as a sort of diversion was that I went back to my love for writing, and I joined a campus group, journalism group. We are one of the thriving ones in the University of Ilorin then. We had a campus journalism group called Waves Club. And so I joined Waves, and we were writing for Waves. We had a periodic magazine that we called Dolphin. It was called Dolphin. I think we released every month then or something. So we were involved in, the way we were in campus, where you talk about what people are doing, bug people, and do all sorts of things. So basically, that was how I went back to writing. I edited the magazine at some point. In my final year in the University of Ilorin, my classmate had noticed my flair for journalism. And so we have an association of they call it National Association of Theatre Art Students, NOTASA. And we had a national magazine, which we called Theatre Forum. I was called to edit it, it was a national forum. I was the editor-in-chief of Theatre Forum in that year, in my final year. So I was almost certain by the time I was leaving the university that I was going to be a journalist. I was almost certain. I used to read all the newspapers. I used to read the magazines, Tell, Newswatch, the news. And I used to write notes to editors. I remember that very clearly. And so by the time I left the university, I was sure that I wanted to be a journalist. And so the moment I finished, one of the first places I approached that I wanted to work was the news. And of course, when I got there, the idea that you don't have experience and all of that came up. And I remember that I told Mr. Bayo and Onoga at some point that, sir, if I don't have experience, if I don't work, I will never get this experience. So if you guys don't employ me, So they saw some of the letters I had written to them as a student, and all of that. And, I passed the interview, and that's how I started, my career as a journalist. And since then, well, more or less, there haven't been any